Xiaomi recently launched the Redmi Note 4 in India, and given that they aren't allowed to sell phones with MediaTek inside, they revamped it with a Snapdragon 625 chip underneath. Now, the chip's not the only new thing with the Redmi Note 4. There are a few other cosmetic changes with the Indian variant as well, so I decided to test out the Snapdragon 625 toting Indian variant of the Redmi Note 4. So how did it fare? Is it a worthy successor to the extremely popular Redmi Note 3? Well, let's find out in this video. But before we do, if this is your first time here or if you just can't remember, note it down. My name's Ash, this is C4E Tech, and you're watching our full review of the Xiaomi Redmi Note 4. Let's get started. Let's start with the build and design. There are a few changes from the Chinese variant. The diamond cut edges are gone, this is not a metal unibody design anymore, we've got some plastic used to the back. The build kinda slots in between the Redmi Note 3 and the Chinese Redmi Note 4. The form factor is almost the same when compared to the Redmi Note 3, but the 2.5D glass to the front, the sharper sides, they make the Redmi Note 4 feel a little better in hand. Not quite as good as the Chinese variant, but it's still a noticeable improvement over the Redmi Note 3. The display here is a 5.5-inch IPS LCD panel and retains the 1080p resolution as its predecessor. Xiaomi states that this is a better display than the one used on the Note 3, but like the Chinese Redmi Note 4, I didn't really notice a difference. It is a mid-range Full HD display. Sharp, good viewing angles, reasonably accurate colors. This Redmi Note lacks Gorilla Glass protection too, but Xiaomi is using some kind of 2.5D protective glass on top with an oleophobic layer. Anyway, sunlight legibility was also reasonably good. Underneath the hood, this Redmi Note 4 is powered by the 64-bit octa-core Snapdragon 625 chip, the same one used on the likes of the Redmi 4 Prime, Lenovo P2, the Moto Z Play and even the Zenfone 3. Remember, this chip is built on the 14nm FinFET process that's allowed Qualcomm to kinda clock the cores up to 2 GHz without any heating issues. It also helps with the battery life. Now let's talk about battery in a minute. For now, with regular day-to-day usage, the Redmi Note 4 has no issues. It's smooth and fluid for the most part. With intensive usage scenarios like gaming, the Adreno 506 GPU inside performed reasonably well, managing to even smoothly run some of the more intensive titles. The Redmi Note 4 is available in 232, 332 and 464 RAM storage configurations, and this is the 332 variant that I've been testing. It's worth mentioning that the audio via the internal speakers is reasonably loud. I faced no issues with cellular reception or call quality, and even GeoVolt worked great. The audio output via the 3.5mm headphone jack wasn't the best, but given the price segment, acceptable. Now, with that, let's get to the USP, the unique selling point of the Redmi Note 4, the battery life. The Note 4 has a marginally higher capacity battery than its predecessor at 4100 mAh. So that's about 50 mAh up from the last generation. The battery life on this phone is absolutely nuts. With my regular day-to-day usage, which a lot of you know, but I'm gonna say it again anyway, this involves a couple of hours of calls, a lot of push notifications via social media, some light gaming, streaming video, Bluetooth always on for my fitness tracker and headphones, loads of emails and comments to get back to. With this kind of usage, I still manage to get 2 days on a single charge. So usually, before I plug my phone in to charge, I take a screenshot of the battery stats so that I can post them when I review it. And there was actually this one time with the Redmi Note 4 where I thought that I was on day 2, but turns out when I was taking the screenshot, I noticed that was my 3rd day with the Redmi Note 4. Agreed, it was a couple of days of very light usage, but the battery life is just brilliant. Anyway, with that, let's now talk cameras. Now, this is something I was really interested in checking out. Why? Because Xiaomi kind of self-contradicted, contradicted themselves in 2 launch events. Now, with the Redmi Note 3, Xiaomi had a 13 megapixel camera on the Chinese variant. They upped it to 16 megapixels for the Indian variant without changing the sensor size and claimed that more the megapixels, better the performance. Now this time around, they went back to a 13 megapixel sensor, again the same sensor size, but now they claim larger pixels mean better performance. So this self-contradiction from Xiaomi made me very curious to check out the camera, And the camera performance here is just about okay, nothing to write home about. The detail level's average, the dynamic range is subpar. If you look at these shots, you can see that either the shadows are crushed or the highlights are constantly blown out. Anyway, under good light, you still can get some decent shots, but as the light levels go down, so does the performance. Here are a few more samples shot under low light. The Redmi Note 4 can shoot 1080p videos at 30 frames per second and the footage quality is good. It's sharp with decent detail. The 5 megapixel front facing camera does well enough for the occasional selfie. And with that, let's now move on to software. The Redmi Note 4 runs on Android 6 Marshmallow with Xiaomi's custom MIUI 8 on top. MIUI 8 is something we've discussed to death. There are so many Xiaomi phones I've covered and I've talked a lot about it, so I'm just gonna leave a card to my MIUI 8 features video. Check that out for more information on MIUI 8. The short version, there's no app drawer, there are a lot of customization options including support for themes, there's quite a bit of new functionality including dual apps, second space and more. The user experience here is excellent, much better than what it was on the Chinese variant of the Redmi Note 4. That's kind of surprising given that the Chinese variant is powered by the Deca-core Helio X20 chip, a much more powerful chip compared to the Snapdragon 625 on the Redmi Note 4 found in India, on paper at least. Anyway, compared to the Redmi Note 3, the Redmi Note 4 is a tad slower. You aren't really going to be noticing this unless you're testing both side by side like we did in a speed test. So overall, with day-to-day performance, the Redmi Note 4 does deliver. On that note, let's talk price. The Redmi Note 4 starts at 10,000 rupees for the 232 variant and goes all the way up to 13,000 rupees for the top 464 variant. At these prices, what you get is a solidly built phone with good performance and exemplary battery life. And that makes the Redmi Note 4 a steal despite its subpar camera. That said, I couldn't help but feel a little let down here. If you look at the Redmi Note 3, what are its pros? Battery life, performance, price. What are the cons? Lack of availability and the camera. Sadly, with the Redmi Note 4, Xiaomi's not addressed any of these cons. Instead, they've chosen to improve on the pros. Well, that's not necessarily a bad thing. Stick to your strengths, that's not bad at all. The fact that the camera still remains subpar, the phone still remains hard to get, and add to it the fact that the performance actually takes a bit of a hit to boost the already exemplary battery life. It's kind of perplexing. I really wish Xiaomi to have gone with a Snapdragon 653 or even a 652 at this price point. Sadly, that didn't happen. Anyway, if you are looking to buy a phone in this price segment and camera is not really a priority for you, then the Redmi Note 4 makes a lot of sense. But if you do already own a Redmi Note 3, the Redmi Note 4 is not an upgrade. The camera isn't greatly improved. I can't see any Redmi Note 3 user complaining about battery life on their phone. So the boost in battery life doesn't really make a lot of sense for a Redmi Note 3 user, and the marginal decrease in performance is just not worth it in my honest opinion. So long story short, wanna buy a phone in this segment? You can choose the Redmi Note 4. Even choose it over the Redmi Note 3 for the battery and the build improvements. Looking to upgrade from a Redmi Note 3 or any other phone sporting a Snapdragon 650 or a 652? Please don't. So there you have it, my 2 cents on the Redmi Note 4. Do you agree with my conclusion in this video? Do you disagree? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you did like this video, you know what to do. Go ahead, give this video a big huge thumbs up. If you hated it, vote it down. And for more videos, hit that subscribe button down below if you haven't already. If you do want to pick a Redmi Note 4 up, I'll leave direct links in the description below. Use them to help the channel out. If you are already subscribed, do this to make sure you get notified as soon as a new video goes live on C4E Tech. And now that we are done with the Redmi Note 4 review, if you're wondering what to watch next, you can actually check this out. I'm sure you'd be interested. So anyway, thanks a lot for watching. Till next time, this is Ash here from C4E Tech signing off. You guys have a great day. Bye bye now.